Welcome to Ageless by Rescu. This podcast is devoted to exploring the science of rejuvenation, uncovering the most trusted experts, the must-have products, innovations, and technology in the field of vitality, aesthetics, new beauty, and cosmetic enhancement. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you, Candice Warner, to Ageless by Rescu. And my God, do you walk the talk?
Thank you so much for having me. It is a real privilege to be speaking to you.
I've always wanted to meet you. Like I said before we came on, I've listened to other podcasts that you've done, and you seem like such a girl's girl, and definitely an inspirational woman in so many different ways. The reason that I really wanted you on the show is because we've really been working a lot on this whole background into biohacking, which really comes from a sporting field. And you and your husband are obviously great athletes, celebrated athletes, world-class athletes. And you in particular, as a mother of 3 under 7 with a big career, you must have some pretty good life hacks and biohacks that you can share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess it started back when I was competing a long time ago. We would always have ice baths, after a really hot day or after training to just sort of rejuvenate our body and get it recovering. So for me, it's, back then it was all about recovery as an athlete and getting those ice baths in straight away. But now that I'm a mum and, I spend a lot of time on the road with David, it's still important that I look at what I can do. So for myself, it's when I wake up in the morning, it's a cold shower. And
for how long, Candice? How long do you run it for?
Yeah, I would at least a minute.
Wow.
I don't know. Yeah. And
I can do 30 seconds.
Yeah, but it is funny how you do get used to it. Your body does adjust. And sometimes it is mind over matter. You turn it on, you go, I'm not even going to think about it. I'm just going to go straight in. So for me, it is a cold shower for a minute. And then I don't put it back to hot, but I do put it back to warm. So for me, that's how I start my day. It rejuvenates me and I feel so much better for it. Another thing that I do is the intermittent fasting. So generally after about 6:30 at night, I will just, have a cup of tea or some water. And then to about 10 o'clock the next day, that's it. I won't have anything. So, for me, it stopped a lot of bloating. It wasn't about losing weight for me. It wasn't about, trying to shed kilos. It was about, I was really struggling with bloat. So it helped tremendously.
Inflammation and all of the studies around intermittent fasting and why it's an anti-aging diet is that it dramatically reduces inflammation. So if you had bloating, you can tackle that through intermittent fasting by giving your body the time to heal and repair itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, they're the two things that I do religiously every day. That's my non-negotiables that I do because it makes my body has responded the best through doing those two things. So for me, it's very simple and that's what I do.
What about sleep, Candice? I mean, 3 kids under 7 is tough. Traveling around, well, we haven't traveled for a while, but once you do, it's tough. But as an athlete, I'm sure you more than anyone else understand the importance of sleep and what exactly is the science of sleep. So how do you manage that?
For me, sleep's always been the best form of recovery. So you can get massages, you can get, you have your proteins and everything. But for me, genuine deep sleep, when you're in your deepest moment of sleep, is the best form of recovery. So it is hard with kids, but I run a very tight ship here. My kids are in bed at 7:30 at night. Hopefully they're asleep by 8. And unless there's a cricket match on TV, my husband's overseas, I will generally try to go to sleep at about 9:30 and then up at 6 a.m. And for me, sleep is by far the most important thing in my daily routine.
While we're on the subject of food and performance enhancement, what does the Warner household look like in terms of wellness, rejuvenation? I mean, he's still an athlete, so there's a lot going on, and I guess you have to support that, but still run a normal household. What does a day on the plate look like at the Warner household?
So it's so David doesn't do the intermittent fasting like I do. So I mean, for him, it is a very balanced diet. It's not just all proteins or anything. It's about balance. So he'll have wake up in the morning, have some coffee, and then it'll be a couple of poached eggs on some toast. We generally then go train together, followed by like a protein shake.
What are you doing when you're training?
So we might go for generally a run when we're training together. He will go and do his cricket training. We love to run in the morning. We get it done before it's too hot or before the wind picks up. So we may go to Centennial Park or do a nice coastal run where we can just clear our head. And then followed by a protein shake. I use the brand Isoway. And
I love that brand too. It's the yummiest.
Yeah, it's yummy, but it's also really it's not expensive. It's not it's very affordable for everyone. So I use the Isoway, generally the banana one in my smoothie, and I'll add in some spinach, some blueberries. For me, I get the frozen ones because I have a smoothie every day. So I throw in everything. It could be some kale, coconut water. So I throw that in. So yeah, it's really important that we get our protein in after a workout, a hard workout. Then lunch, sometimes it could be just a toasted sandwich because that's what we've got here, but we do, otherwise it will be, a salad. We might order a salad from somewhere and get, make sure that there is some more protein in there, maybe a little bit of brown rice. For us, it's all about balance. It isn't, we aren't super strict at what time we have to eat, but we're making sure that when we do eat, we're fueling our body for, so that we've got the energy to keep up with our kids. We're fueling our body for the next workout and just replenishing our body for what it's lost.
One of the things that I find extraordinary about your story is that, you were so fiercely competitive from a young age, which is quite inspirational. I'm sure your daughters are going to really benefit from seeing, two parents who really modeled that for them. And you've weathered a lot of storms. How have you managed the stress of the worst times of your life? Because that is the most aging thing that we can go through. Cortisol breakdown is by far the worst inflammatory response that a body can have. And it's hard to recover from and it's hard to manage. Did you take any biohacking steps? Did you take any supplements? Did you change your food or exercise routine when you were training or when you were going through a personal crisis? What do you do? Because you're smarter than most of us in this field.
Well, yeah, we have been through a lot and we always seem to come out the other side. So for me, it's whenever I've been extremely in a stressful situation for a period of time, I do drop a lot of body weight, and it doesn't matter what I eat, it just keeps dropping off. So it's important that I eat frequently and I'm having stuff rich in high in protein, carbohydrates to keep my energy levels up. Because I see it as your proteins and carbs this way. So your carbohydrates is like a boat and your protein sits on top of that. And without that carbohydrates in that boat, it's your protein's not going to move forward, help you move forward. So you need to have that balance of protein and carbohydrates. So I make sure that I get plenty of that. But me, it's about mindset. And it's about how you're going to approach certain things. And I always, like I said just previously, go for a run. I make sure that I leave my phone at home. I do my best thinking when I'm running, when I'm outdoors, when I'm walking, because it's just me and my thoughts and there's no interruptions. I get pure clarity. So being outside, going for a run, exercising, for me is the best way to approach stressful situations. But I truly believe, and of course sleep, but I truly believe it's your mindset and how you look for any situation, look at any situation. I'm always, the glass is half full. And I truly believe that if you tell yourself something, you can achieve anything. So, instead of waking up and going, oh, it's so bad today, it's so hard, it's, I can't believe this is happening to me. Through my tools and through my past experiences, I realized that I go, okay, this is what I'm going to do today. Yes, this is happening, but it will pass. It's happening to me because I've got the tools to deal with it. So I am a very positive person.
She is an iron woman, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
If you're an iron woman, you can pretty much push through most pain.
But it is mindset. Yeah, but it is mindset, and surrounding yourself with positive people, surrounding yourself with people who are going to be honest with you, but be a positive influence in your life and your life moving forward.
You know, I had a couple of crises of my own in the past, I would say, decade. You know, I had a financial crisis around the time of the GFC and nearly went bankrupt. I was 35 and I had $1 million in debt over 2 weeks. It completely blindsided me. It was really devastating. I had a really hectic pregnancy. I was in a hospital for 7 weeks with placenta previa before I had my daughter, Lily, and I nearly died having the baby. And then I had a really hectic relationship scandal that blew up and was in all the papers. And it was a most revolting time of my life.
Mm.
And on all 3 occasions, it was my physical health that really suffered. My mental health was super strong. And I remember going to a health retreat, and the naturopath there just sat me down and said, you know what, Bahar, if you had just done one thing, you would have really got through these moments better. And I said, what's that one thing? And she said, be complex. Never underestimate the power of a good B complex, because your nervous system was shot and a good B complex could have really supported you. And I thought, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? But now I take it and it works.
Yeah. But isn't it incredible when you're at your lowest and you're so stressful and you lose all this weight, people think you look your best.
Oh my God,
because
yes.
I was
a bone. I was like 45 kilos.
And
in my
so, and people, you know, it's when you're healthy and you look so good, you've lost so much weight. It's like, well, hang on a second. If only you knew the stress that I was under and actually how unhealthy I am at the moment in regards to my my mind and my body. You know, and before no one said anything and I was at my healthiest and happiest. So it is funny what people perceive as someone looking good, being healthy, being happy.
I totally agree with you. But let's talk about looking good, because you look good.
Yes.
Are you 36? You're 36, right?
I am 36.
36
yes.
with 3 kids, a husband, a massive career. You spent a lot of time in the sun too. How on earth do you look so youthful and have such beautiful, even skin? I'm curious.
Okay. So obviously I have Botox, which I'm not ashamed to say. It started for me at a young and it started for me at a young age when I was doing quite a few photo shoots, and I had some really deep lines through my forehead, which I now have been told it's hereditary. My father's got it, my brother's got it, and this was at a really young age. So for me, it was prevention rather than anything else, because at that age, you know, when you're young, when you are younger,
how old were you, if you don't mind me asking?
I would have been probably 18.
Oh wow.
And it is very young. And if my daughter comes to me at 18 and says I would definitely you know, not want her to do that at such young age. But they were very deep, at a very young age, and to the point where if I didn't do something about it, by the time I was 30 or 25, nothing would have helped. And I wasn't conscious about it, but until people started to bring it to my attention, I then became really conscious about my lines in my forehead. And so, for me, it gave me that confidence, and, you know, each to their own. And that's what I do. But I definitely look after my skin.
Do you do any lasers, or have you had any filler or any of the more advanced rejuvenation techniques? Because I for sun damage, there's nothing like laser. And
so I have done I've done the thermage. I've also done
the thermage for lifting and firming.
Lifting and firming, yes. And I've also done a laser on my face, which was so painful. I'm trying to think what it was called now.
You had the full face one, maybe Fraxel.
Yes, the full face Fraxel. That's what I got. I got the Fraxel. I've done that twice, and it is extremely painful. But it works for me because I do have a lot of pigmentation. I have spent a lot of time in the sun from a very young age with my training and competing. So I had a lot of freckles. I do find it a painful treatment, but, once it all sort of scabs up after a few days and comes off, the results are amazing. So for me, it was trying to just reverse the sun damage that I had from a young age. So now I'm very regimented with my skin. So morning and night, I have a routine. So morning, I wake up, I cleanse my face, I have a shower, I cleanse my face. Now this is not a sponsored, but I just want to show everyone what I do. So I then put on the Skin Better Science Even Toning. So I put this on, and that's just, I put that on morning and night.
I love their peel pads. That brand has the best peel pads. Amazing.
And then in the morning after that, I'm all about the vitamin C. Love the vitamin C.
What brand is that?
That's Societe.
Yep.
Vitamin C.
Yes.
So this is not sponsored, but I just want to show you what works best for my skin. Followed by some moisturizer from Scott and Sullivan. I go to the clinic at Bondi for all my treatments. They know my skin really well.
They're beautiful.
And then
Kay and Lisa are such good girls.
They're so great. And then I am all about the SPF. So again, I just use a good SPF 50, which is the Aspect Sun. I put one of these on my kids' school bags. My husband has one on his cricket kit. Again, none of this is sponsored, but it's just what I do, and I keep it as simple as that. If I'm doing something where my skin's not looking great, I may use the Aspect 30 Plus. It's got a bit of a, it's not foundation, but it has got a little bit of a tone in it. So yeah, that's basically what I do morning and night. Nighttime, I won't use the vitamin C, but I still do that same routine where I cleanse. Every second or third night I'll exfoliate. Then I put my that Even Tone just to help with my pigmentation, followed by moisturizer and eye cream. I keep it simple. I don't like to clog my skin up. And I think that works best for me.
Well, it definitely works best for you because you look gorgeous.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? You've obviously been so well educated in fitness and wellness, and you've had, amazing advisors throughout your life in terms of, nutrition and peak performance. Who taught you about beauty, and who are the best muses for you in that space?
For me, it was my mother. From such a young age, back then it was cleanse, tone, moisturize. We know that, they don't do the toner anymore, but it's, my mum always was so regimented with her skincare routine, that I didn't know any better than just, okay, that's what you do. You don't, that's part of life. You do those things. So she's still, mum's 70, almost 71, and still every day, every night does the same routine. Has her favorite products. And so for me, my mum is, she doesn't have many wrinkles. She doesn't do Botox. She just has beautiful skin. And, she's always taught me that you need to look after your skin from a very young age. And, she bought me my first moisturizer, my first cleanser. And
what was it? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think it was just just something from the chemist. Would have been just something very light. I can't remember exactly what brand, but just something very light, just to get you used to, looking after your skin properly.
Candice, can I ask you, do you have like a go-to ritual when you're exhausted and you look in the mirror and go, I feel 1,000 years old, and you need to kind of turn it around really quickly?
Yeah, I do. So I don't wear a lot of makeup unless I have to work. So a photo shoot or do some media, but I've started to get onto all the Trini London. I love Trini, and it's so easy because you would think after getting my makeup done so often or my skincare done that I would be really, but I still am very clueless. So, but Trini London, she has the BFF, she has, all these beautiful bases that you put on, and you don't need to use brushes, you just use your hands. So I like to use that. She also has the Miracle Blur, which I use sometimes for, certain areas around the lip or around the eyes. And her concealers are fantastic.
Her concealer.
Yes, I
What's the
love
best?
Trinity London. So I do, again, I have, if I'm going out at night and I need something a little bit more coverage, I'll use the Armani Silk. But for day to day and like picking the girls up from school, or if you're just waking up feeling a bit, I love Trinity London.
When do you feel the most beautiful?
I think I feel my most beautiful when I first get out of the shower. I'm stripped back. If I've just washed my hair's wet, I've just put some moisturizer on my face, and it's just me. I think especially if it's after a good night's sleep, I think that's when I feel my most beautiful. And I know that my husband loves me anyway, but when I'm just being natural. So yeah, I think just when I first get out of a shower and I'm just fresh and I'm just stripped back and it's just me.
Do you have a go-to outfit that makes you feel really fresh and, radiant?
I don't know. I don't have a particular outfit, but if I'm ever wanting to feel, as you get older, you still want to look your best. You still want to know that you've got it, and you have that confidence. So sometimes it is just putting that little black dress on, and you don't need to over accessorize or overdo it with the makeup. You just put the black dress on, you feel great. But anytime I wear color, it just obviously lifts your spirits and makes you look really alive.
I'm curious to know, because you're beautiful as well as hugely accomplished. When you were growing up, and I've had this conversation, I think it was with Shayna Blaze actually. Yeah. And she said that when she was really young, the school counselor said to her, look, you should try your hand at modeling. You're pretty. Have a go at that. And I think, I'm a little bit older than you, so it's possibly a different dialogue when you were growing up. But, as an athlete, as a woman in the media, were you aware that you were also beautiful and that was part of your appeal to other people?
That's a really tricky question without sounding like you're blowing your own trumpet. So it's
no,
very,
it's a really honest question. I asked the question in the spirit of, were a lot of people, for example, that I speak to, and I've interviewed Trini for the podcast.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. So I've had Trini on the podcast. She's coming up soon. We were talking about, her currency was always beauty. And there's a lot of people who've come into their beauty later. And as a result of not feeling beautiful when they were younger, they learned every trick in the book, and they really made it their business to enhance every asset that they had. But first they developed other assets. And so for me, it's really interesting when I speak to men and to women, and I've asked this of men as well. Did you grow up feeling like you were a beauty?
Yeah.
Or did you come into it?
I think I came into it. I was always a tomboy, very much. Grew up down at Maroubra Beach, would go surfing with all the boys because, when I was younger, not many women, went surfing or sort of. So for me, I was always just one of the boys. So you don't really, see yourself as someone who they would be attracted to, or you just want to be liked by your peers. So no, I didn't. I guess it wasn't until I started to become successful in my field, in surf lifesaving, that I started to attract sponsors and do photo shoots for them and do different campaigns. Back then it was Running Bear and Rival, and then there's been so many more since then. It wasn't until then that I thought, wow, I've actually got a particular look that people want to see more of, or that sells products, or maybe I'm more than just that tomboy. So I think it wasn't until I turned professional and people wanted to start using me for their campaigns that I didn't really see myself as anything other than a sister, a daughter, or just the girl next door.
So you're an ambassador now of a brand that I'm excited about. It's the Emsculpt NEO, and the first time I heard about it was a couple of years ago in the clinic circles. But then when I had Miranda Kerr on the podcast, she swore by it. She said to me, you have to do it. She's also had 3 children, and she's been using it to redevelop her muscle density. Tell me about, your journey with this treatment, because body treatments are so exciting.
Yes. Yeah, it is exciting. And I'm always very skeptical of things like this. Sometimes they're always a little bit too good to be true, but it's nice when you come across something that it is what it says it is. So for me, it started with, after giving birth to my 3 kids, I really struggled with the separation of my abdominal muscles, and being so active in the gym, going kayaking, surfing, I need to engage my core. Unless I do that, my back starts to go on me. I just can't do things to the best of my ability. So I thought, you know what, it can't hurt. Let's give it a crack. Within probably 2, I've done the full treatment, but within probably my 2nd or 3rd treatments, I really felt like it started to complement everything that I was starting to do.
So
whether
this
it would be,
it's electromagnetic pulsing, isn't it?
yes, it's what's the word they use? It is contractions. So it's like doing 20,000, 30,000 crunches, your best possible crunches, which we know would be impossible to do at the gym. This is all done in a 30-minute time. It's no fuss. It doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt, because I've heard from some people it's quite intense. It can be.
It is intense. It is intense, but it doesn't hurt. And you can, the therapist is there with you. They can sort of turn it up, turn it down to your liking. But for me, I had it full, of course. I had it full up at 100, and your body does start to get used to it. But for me, after a few treatments, it was starting to become really exciting, because I could see my posture getting better. I could see that I was starting to do things in the gym. I could do more in the gym, but I could do things that I couldn't possibly do beforehand, where I'm starting to compete again in the ocean, and just being able to keep up with some of the younger girls because my core was more engaged, again, was really exciting. So the great thing about Emsculpt NEO, it's not, yes, you can lose weight, you can gain muscle. So I think it's around 25% gaining muscle or and 30% losing weight, or one or the other. But for me, it wasn't about losing weight. It was about complementing my daily life and everything that I do. And, it has been incredible. I've also used it on my glutes, which for people who think that it's slightly painful on your abdominal muscles, the glutes is very comfortable. It doesn't hurt at all on your glutes. And is it good for
cellulite as well, or is it just firming and lifting, or is it also detoxifying?
Look, I can't answer about the cellulite. I don't have a lot at the moment, so I haven't noticed that. Maybe for some people it could, I'm not too sure. But for me, it's all about firming, but building that muscle up. So putting it on my glutes, it was funny after a few, because I've always had quite a flat bum. And after a few sessions, my husband was like, "Oh, wow,
Baby
what have you been doing?" Yeah, and it's funny because you can't really see what's going on back there. So when he said that, I was like, "Oh, maybe this really is working." And then I started to my running time started to improve. So for me, I've seen the difference, and I've done the full treatments. I think if you were just going to do a one-off, then I probably, you're wasting your time. This is something that you need to do 4 or 5 treatments. And the treatments are, every sort of 10 days, if you can do that. And also it's sort of something that works well with, it complements you if you are already exercising, you are walking, that sort of thing. So for me, it was really exciting to find something that really lives up to its reputation as well.
Definitely. Do you drink a lot of water? Are you a big water drinker?
Yes, I am. I am a big water drinker. There are times where I can get a little bit lazy, but my body really suffers with that when I do. So I do get, the headaches. I do feel very lethargic. So I need to really keep my water intake up high because I sweat a lot. I am a sweater, so I do the hyperhidrosis under my arms. I run, I exercise, I sweat. So for me, keeping the water intake up is crucial.
Yeah, it definitely makes a difference. I just want to circle back to the ageless conversation we were having in the context of the sporting world. And of all the careers in the world, probably the most brutal in terms of aging is sport. And
Yes.
there's really a finite time, I guess, in most sports that an athlete can be at the top of their field. Do you think that there needs to be more work done in transitioning elite athletes in particular from being at the top of their game in their 20s and then finding a meaning and a place for themselves and their future outside of that, often at a time where most people haven't even begun their lives?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's something that needs to be addressed more often. You just have to look at the newspaper or look at a lot of people. So a lot of former athletes are really starting to open up about their struggles after being at the highs of their sport and at the pinnacle of their sport, and then the next day, no one not caring about them because they've either retired. So a lot of former athletes turn to drugs. They end up out of work. They're just very lost. So I think there needs to be that transitioning that happens well before they're even thinking about retiring, whether that be getting them, some skills. Because again, a lot of these athletes don't even have life skills. They turn professional at a super young age, and everything's done for them. On Tuesday you've got to be here at 8:30, and then you're going to get physio at this. So their whole days are mapped out. They don't even have to think. So they don't even really have a lot of life skills or life experiences. So I don't know what the answer is, but I definitely feel there needs to be a greater focus on retirement. And I know Cricket Australia do it really well. They have a system in place that, someone is guiding them and talking to them for quite a number of years post-retirement, whether it be helping them, getting them into a job, whether it be just mentally, are you okay? Do you need to speak to someone? So because I'm in the Cricket Australia sanctum, I understand that they do have things set up. But I feel like a lot of other professions in sport, they need to sort of start looking at that, because it is quite sad to see people who, when they're at the top of their game, they're role models, they're heroes, they're idols of so many
That's exactly
younger
right.
people. And then all of a sudden they're out of work, they're out of job, they don't know where to turn to, they don't know where to get those highs of, their sporting wins from. So there needs to be a greater focus, definitely on post-retirement.
And when did you find your purpose after sport? When and how did you find your game plan for an ageless, forever?
For me, it was meeting David. I met him when I was around 26, and I was starting to get to the point in my career thinking, at what point do you retire? At what point do you say enough's enough? It's one of those hard things. Do you keep going when you're doing so well? Do you retire then, or do you retire when you lose your form and people are saying you probably should, give it up? So for me, it was meeting David, and I fell pregnant. So that was another reason why. But my focus was starting to switch to his career rather than mine. And I could see the positive impact I was having on him and how that was affecting his playing career and how that was getting him to the next level and the next level.
And what do you mean by positive impact you had on him? I love that.
So he was, I guess, slightly lazy. He was always had a lot of natural ability.
Only the wife of the former captain can say he was kind of lazy.
So, he was, he was just happy with having that natural ability, but didn't want to work harder at what he was doing. So I think when he started to see me working really hard, waking up at 4:30 and doing all these extras, he thought, wow, I just do what I have to do. I don't do the extras. I don't sacrifice as much as I probably should. And by him seeing what I was doing, his whole mind shifted. And so he would start waking up early and doing extra training. And because of that, he started to go century after century and was starting to play a lot more consistently. And when I could see that, and that I played some role in his career and his success, it started to really make me think, okay, well, if I'm having such a positive impact on his life and this is what I'm doing, then I don't need to compete anymore. I feel I'm happy with what I've achieved. I can leave that behind. I'm helping someone else achieve their goals and being part of his team, and his success was enough.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that. I feel like I need to invite him on the podcast because I love having the male view of, you know, how to stay revitalized and energized.
Yeah. Well, he's a good one. He really makes time for himself. He's really good at doing journals. He spends so much time on his own in hotel rooms that it would be so easy for him to just get inside his own mind and talk negative to himself. But he's so good at opening up, talking about how he feels, writing things down, reading things, getting inspiration online. He's very, very good at that.
Candice, can I ask you, what would you go back and say to your 14-year-old self who started the journey in surf lifesaving?
I would say, it's funny. I would say to just be yourself. Don't listen to anyone else. Obviously, accept your coaches, but just be true to who you are. Be happy with who you are. Don't try to impress people. Don't be too hard on yourself. Just enjoy the moment. I think as an athlete and as a young person, you're always looking forward to this and that, and you actually forget to just live in the moment and be present at that very moment. So I think just be present, enjoy the moment, don't be too hard on yourself, and just smile lots, because, you know, don't sweat the small stuff.
That's beautiful. And, you know, your daughters are going to be 14 in a blink of an eye. If you could time travel forward and give your 50-year-old self and look at her, what would you be proud of that she's doing?
I think I would really like to be able to, when I reach 50, just be able to, I guess, sit back and just appreciate what I've been able to achieve and just enjoy my kids and hopefully then my grandkids, and just be proud of the women that my girls have become, and know that it makes me quite emotional. And just know that you've done a really good job as a mum. Sorry. I always get so emotional when I talk about my daughters, but I just want them to grow up with a good heart, to know that they come from a loving family and be good people. So if I was 50 and I was looking back and I could see beautiful, strong, independent, confident young women, then I'll know that as a mother, I've done a really good job. Sorry. Sorry. I always get so emotional when I talk about my daughters. I can't help it. Sorry.
Yeah, you're overflowing with love and it's lovely. And to wrap up, I'm going to ask you, Candice, do you have an ageless muse? Is there a celebrity? Is there a historical figure? Is there a person in your life that you look to who maybe at any age, she could be, you know, a 14-year-old like you were, or, you know, a 90-year-old? Is there someone that to you embodies the philosophy of being an ageless muse?
See, I see someone like a Helen Mirren, and I just look at her and I think, she's beautiful, she's stunning, she's confident. I look at her and I just think she's everything that if I could be looking like her and smiling and have that sass and that confidence and just be so confident in your own skin at that age, I find it very inspiring.
Well, thank you so much for sharing a beautiful part of your story and your excellent ageless tips. Great skincare advice, great body training advice, great fitness and nutrition advice. It's been an absolute pleasure, and you really are the embodiment of an ageless muse. I've loved meeting you. Lovely to see you.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this chat, and I'm so sorry for getting emotional, but that's me. I'm a very emotional person.
All right, and I'm going to really hit you up for to have your husband on the show.
Absolutely.
So more men, and also partners of men, to to have the conversations. It's fun. It's fun to hear it from different.
Yeah, it is. Well, from middle of November to the end of November, he's doing hotel quarantine in Queensland for 2 weeks. So he'll probably have a bit of spare time.
I will get him then.
I'm sure he would love to be on your show. Yes.
I'd love that too. Have a beautiful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Lovely to meet you. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please share and rate this episode. I'd love that.